Imagine this. You've been planning this trip for months. You booked early. You arrived at the airport with plenty of time. Your documents are perfect. Everything is in order. And then, just as you're about to board, the airline agent looks at you. And he says the words that no traveler ever wants to hear. You are not allowed to fly. Not because you were late. Not because you broke a rule. Not because you forgot a document. You did everything right. And yet, there you are standing at the gate watching your plane leave without you. This happens to thousands of travelers every single day. And what makes it worse is that the reasons are almost never obvious. In 2026, airlines are quietly rolling out new rules, hidden requirements, and automated systems that can cancel your trip in seconds, even when you believe everything is fine. Today, I'm going to reveal the 10 real reasons airlines can deny you boarding this year. From tiny mistakes in your ticket you probably never noticed, to overbooking policies airlines don't openly talk about. Some of these reasons are so absurd you won't believe they're real. But I guarantee that once you finish this video, you will never look at an airport the same way again, because this isn't about bad luck. It's about understanding the rules of a game airlines never fully explain. And once you know what to look for, you can protect yourself before it's too late. Reason number 1. The name on your ticket doesn't match. You're standing at the check-in counter, confident. You hand over your passport. The agent types something, stops, and frowns. There's a problem with your ticket. It's not expired. The date is correct. The flight is confirmed. The problem is much simpler and much more ridiculous. Your name doesn't match exactly. A missing accent. A hyphen that isn't there. A second last name you didn't include. Even one extra letter can be enough. To you, it feels like nothing. To the airline, it's everything. Airlines have become increasingly strict with name matching. No nicknames, no initials, no shortcuts. The name on your ticket must be identical letter by letter to your official ID. And if it isn't, you don't fly. If you notice the mistake before arriving at the airport, you can sometimes fix it for a fee. Anywhere from $50 to $200. If you discover it at the airport, your chances drop fast. Small errors might get a rare exception, but never count on it. Here's what airlines don't tell you. Low-cost airlines are the most unforgiving. And if you book through a third-party website, a simple correction can take hours, long enough to miss your flight. So check your ticket now, because that tiny detail you ignored could be the difference between landing at your destination or being stuck watching planes take off without you. But let's say your name is perfect. You think you're safe, not even close. Because reason number 2 catches more travelers than any other, and most of them never see it coming. Reason number 2. Your passport is valid but still not acceptable. You're at the check-in counter, smiling as you hand over your passport. The agent flips through it slowly, carefully. Then they look up and say, "I'm sorry, this passport isn't valid for travel." Your stomach drops. How is that possible? It hasn't expired. This is the truth that most travelers learn too late. A passport doesn't need to be expired to be useless. There are 5 silent reasons airlines can reject it, and almost nobody checks them all. First, the 6-month trap. Many countries require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months after your entry date. Miss that window by even 1 day, and you're not flying. Second, the blank pages myth. 1 or 2 empty pages is often not enough. Some countries require multiple completely clean pages. No stamps, no marks, nothing. Third, invisible damage. A tiny tear, water damage, a bent electronic chip. Even if you've traveled with it before, airlines can still reject it on the spot. Fourth, the renewal problem. In some countries, once a new passport is issued, the old one becomes automatically invalid, even if it looks fine. And finally, the visa mistake. If your visa is in an old passport, you must carry both passports. Forget one, and the airline won't let you board. Here's the worst part. Some airlines enforce rules that are stricter than the governments themselves. The embassy may say 6 months is enough. The airline might demand more company policy. So before you travel, don't just check the expiration date. Check everything, because your passport can look perfectly fine and still be the reason you never leave the airport. But even with a flawless passport, there's a document almost nobody thinks about, and it's responsible for some of the most expensive travel mistakes of all. Reason number 3, the transit visa trap. No one warned you about. You're not even visiting the country. You're just changing planes, a short layover, a few hours inside the airport. So, you assume you're safe. That assumption has ruined thousands of trips, because in many countries, even a transit passenger needs a visa. Yes, even if you never leave the airport, even if you're there for 2 hours, the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, all require transit authorization for certain passports. And here's where it gets worse. If your connection involves changing airlines, you may be forced to collect your luggage and check in again. That counts as entering the country. No visa, no boarding. Some flights even make technical stops that aren't clearly advertised. You don't plan to land there, but you still do. And when you arrive at the airport, the airline catches it before immigration ever does. That's when they stop you. Not at the destination, not at the connection, at your original departure gate. The solution is simple, but almost nobody does it. You must check visa requirements for your entire route, not just your destination, every connection, every stop, every country involved. Because one missing transit visa can cancel your entire trip before it even begins. But even if every visa is perfect, there's another problem waiting for you. One that used to work just fine until it didn't. Reason number 4, your ID is real, but no longer accepted. You walk up to security and hand over your ID, the same one you've used for years, the same one that has always worked. The agent looks at it, then looks back at you. I'm sorry, this ID is no longer valid for flying. You're confused. It hasn't expired. Nothing looks wrong. But the rules changed, and most travelers didn't notice. In the United States, domestic flights now require a real ID. If your driver's license doesn't have the star, you can be denied boarding, even for a short domestic trip. Many travelers were fooled by enhanced licenses that look official but don't qualify. In other countries, similar changes are happening quietly. IDs without biometric chips, damaged QR codes, old versions that were never officially invalidated but no longer accepted. The worst mistake you can make is assuming that, because it worked last year, it will work today. Airports don't warn you. Airlines don't remind you. You find out at the checkpoint when it's already too late. The safest option is simple. When in doubt, always carry your passport, even for domestic flights, even when you think you won't need it, because having a valid ID doesn't matter anymore. It has to be the right one. But even with perfect documents in your pocket, there's one judgment that happens right before boarding, and it's completely up to the airline. Reason number 5, your carry-on bag fails at the gate. You're finally at the gate. Boarding is about to begin. You've flown with this bag dozens of times. It fit before. It always did. But today, the agent stops you. They point to the size checker. Please place your bag here. It doesn't fit. Not because the bag changed, but because the rules did. In 2026, airlines are cracking down on carry-on luggage like never before. Some now weigh carry-on bags at the gate. Others use automated scanners that measure millimeters. And even if your bag is technically allowed, the airline can still claim there's no overhead space available and force you to check it. Sometimes with a fee, sometimes without explanation. Here's the part most people don't know. If you purchased priority boarding, your carry-on legally has priority to stay in the cabin. And if there's ever a dispute, one thing can save you. The airline's own baggage policy, printed, highlighted in your hands. Because once you're at the gate, logic doesn't matter. Only rules do. And the next reason proves that even arriving on time is no longer enough. Reason number 6, the invisible check-in clock. You arrived early. You passed security. You even had time for coffee. So when you walk up to the gate, you're calm until the agent looks at the screen and says, "I'm sorry, check-in is already closed." You look at the plane, it's still there. The door is still open. How can check-in be closed if the flight hasn't left? Because in 2026, airlines don't run on departure times anymore. They run on invisible deadlines, check-in cutoffs, baggage cutoffs, boarding completion times, and they're getting shorter. Quietly, some airlines now close check-in an hour before departure. Others even earlier if you have a bag. If the system marks you as a no-show, your seat is gone instantly, even if the plane is delayed, even if you're standing at the gate. Here's why this is happening. Airlines would rather leave passengers behind than delay a flight. A late departure can cost them thousands in fines and penalties. So, if you miss a hidden deadline by minutes, your seat goes to someone else. The only way to beat this system is to treat check-in as the real departure time. Online check-in the moment it opens. Arrive earlier than you think you need to, and never assume the gate will wait for you. Because the next reason proves that sometimes your seat was never truly yours to begin with. Reason number 7, your seat was sold twice. You booked early. You paid for your seat. You checked in on time, and still at the gate, you hear the words, "This flight is full. We need volunteers." This is overbooking, and it's not an accident. Airlines now use advanced algorithms to predict who won't show up. They sell more seats than the plane has on purpose. Most of the time it works until it doesn't. When too many people show up, someone gets left behind. And airlines don't choose randomly. The last passengers to check in, the cheapest tickets, passengers without elite status, those are the first to go. If you're denied boarding involuntarily, you may be entitled to compensation, but airlines won't tell you that unless you ask. Cash, not vouchers, not miles. And if they ask for volunteers, never accept immediately. Negotiate first, because once you agree, your rights disappear. But even if you avoid overbooking, there's one final judgment that can still stop you, and it has nothing to do with your ticket. Reason number 8, your behavior gets you removed. You're frustrated. The flight is delayed. The line is long. You make a sarcastic comment. Under your breath, the agent looks at you, and just like that, everything changes. Airlines have the power to deny boarding for behavior. And that word is intentionally vague. You don't have to shout. You don't have to threaten anyone. Sometimes tone is enough. A joke taken the wrong way. A comment about security. Visible frustration at the wrong moment. Once an agent flags you as a potential risk, they don't argue with you. They remove you. There's also something nobody talks about. A silent dress code. Some airlines train staff to reject passengers wearing clothing they consider inappropriate. Extremely oversized outfits, full pajamas, shirts with controversial messages. And in some regions, there's another factor. Odor. If staff believe your presence could disturb other passengers, they can deny you boarding. No refund, no debate. Once that decision is made, it's final. And the worst part, there's no appeal. But if you think that's unfair, wait until you hear this next one. Because sometimes it's not even a human making the decision. Reason number 9, the system decides you don't fly. You have the confirmation email, the payment receipt, the seat assignment. Everything looks perfect until the agent types your name and frowns. I'm sorry, you're not in the system. Welcome to the digital nightmare of modern travel. When you book through third-party websites, your reservation must sync perfectly with the airline. Sometimes it doesn't, and when flights are full, airlines protect their direct bookings first. Your reservation exists until it doesn't. And when the system fails, there's no button to fix it. The only way out is proof. Screenshots of everything. Confirmation numbers, payment records. You must force the agent to investigate. Ask what error code appears on their screen. Ask them to document the issue, because once the system deletes you, you don't exist. And without evidence, neither does your trip. Reason number 10. When your health becomes the problem, you've made it this far. Your documents are approved. Your seat is assigned. Boarding is about to begin. Then an agent looks at you. Not your ticket, not your passport. You cough. You look tired. You're breathing a little heavier than normal. And suddenly none of the paperwork matters anymore. Airlines are allowed to deny boarding if they believe you are medically unfit to fly. They don't need a diagnosis. They don't need proof. They only need suspicion. Visible symptoms are enough: a persistent cough, shortness of breath, excessive sweating, pale skin. To the airline, these aren't minor issues, they're risks. Risks of in-flight medical emergencies, risks of diversions, risks they don't want to take. Pregnancy can trigger this too. A certain week, some airlines require medical clearance to fly. No form, no doctor's note, no boarding. And here's the part nobody expects. If you need assistance but didn't request it in advance, the airline can refuse to take responsibility and refuse to take you. Once that decision is made, it's almost impossible to reverse. Arguing doesn't help. Explaining doesn't help. Preparation does. Carry basic medical documentation, even for common conditions. Keep medications in original packaging whenever possible. Declare special needs before the day of your flight, because in the eyes of the airline, uncertainty is danger. And when they have to choose between your trip and their liability, they choose themselves. Now, you know the truth. Some of these reasons are in your control. Some of them aren't. But knowing all of them changes everything, because airlines won't explain these rules to you. They benefit when you learn them too late. So remember this: your name must match perfectly. Your passport must meet every hidden rule. Transit visas matter. Even if you never leave the airport, and checking in on time is no longer enough. When it comes to flying, this isn't about luck. It's about knowing the game. And once you know the rules, you stop being the easy target. If this video saved you from losing a flight, hit like, share it with someone who's traveling soon, and subscribe for more things airlines don't want you to know. Because in air travel, information isn't just power, it's your boarding pass.